Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dinner time is here. That's right, we're talking about episodes 5 and 6 of Hannibal Season 2 on Dish by Dish. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the Baltimore State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, where I belong. This is the Dish by Dish podcast, a Hannibal rewatch project. And as always, there's only one person I trust, and that if I have a lovely dinner party, she will take home some hors d'oeuvres so they can be analyzed later. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I'm good. I just hate how much I related to Dr. Chilton when he's looking at the hors d'oeuvre that looks like a little shriveled chicken leg.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It just looks like a tiny little like leg. And he just kind of looks at it like I'm not eating that. I mean,
it might be a pigeon lollipopped there where all the meat is pushed up to the very top of it. I'm not sure what it is, but
it's like a really gruesome version of that scene in Big where Tom Hanks is eating all the food and eats a little tiny cob of corn, then he eats something else and like the proceeds like spit it out.
Oh boy, that now all we need is Tom Hanks portraying a 12-year-old eating hors d'oeuvres at Hannibal Lecter's house.
Just have him standing in the back. Just have him standing in the background. You know, I mean,
would he be that out of place? I don't think so.
I just need to know like who all these other people are that Hannibal invites to his dinner parties.
That's true. Who are the hoi and polloi who make the cut? But and listen, here's the thing, though, Gina, we have somebody on our guest list. That's right. She is a writer, a novelist. She's one half of the Let's Get Weirding podcast. We tried to talk about The Stand together, and then we decided, no, this is a giant waste of time. But she is not. She is a kill by kill returning champion, but she's a new dinner guest here on Dish by Dish. The one, the only, Bo North. How are you doing today, Bo?
Oh, hi, Patrick. Hi, Gina. Thanks so much for having me back.
Oh, of course. You're always welcome at our table.
It's not that I gave you guys much choice. I think when you first started covering Hannibal, I took Gina aside and I was like, I have to be on the show.
you came to us like with specific episodes you wanted to do, which I love.
I am an early devotee of this show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's worth being passionate about. And I think that's true of a lot of people with Hannibal. There are certain things that are like, oh, I if you're going to talk about it, I need to talk about this. You're not the only one, but we'd love to have you on anytime we can get you. Of course, the episode that you reached out to us to talk about here is episode 5. We're actually going to combine 5 and 6 because they play around in the same pool. But it is worth noting, Mukouzuke. Oh man, I'm just gonna bastardize this. Mukouzuke. My apologies to the nation of Japan and all of its citizens. It is a course that highlights basically sashimi. It's raw fish, so it requires very delicate cuts that only a true professional can achieve, and that's why we start learning that Beverly Katz has been cut into 5 delicate slices.
I mean, what a way to open your show. I mean, honest to God, one thing you could say about this season is each episode really tries hard to top the last episode.
Yes.
And mostly succeeds.
I think they're trying to find a way to, because this season, so much of it really focuses on world building and not just killers of the week. Those are sprinkled along the way, but they're really trying to build an entire world of this because it's all kind of a pressure cooker and all the ingredients are really starting to come to a boil here because Hannibal has stepped into it. I don't think he certainly didn't have a choice like most serial killers do. When he finds Special Agent Katz in his murder basement, he knows what he has to do. And it's just the way he decides to do it that prompts discussion.
Well, I think this is the point of the show, and I mean, honestly, the show wasn't really grounded in reality to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this point, Brian Fuller's just decided, we're just going to, launch ourselves out of orbit and exist in another world entirely.
Yeah, sure.
And that world is the world of the movie The Cell, which this has the kind of creating a sort of giant series of microscope slides.
Mm-hmm.
Is lifted, I feel is lifted from a scene in The Cell. I mean, it's a horse in The Cell, but it's still a very kind of gut-wrenching moment, and is also in turn inspired by an artist named Damien Hirst who would simulate splitting things into giant microscope cells, slides rather. So I think that the very, very Baroque stylings of the murders this season are just like, this is not anything that exists in a world that is recognizably our world. Everything is nightmare logic now.
I honestly think that it's sort of the way season 1 was building up to season 2. This is very much building up to season 3 in terms of how these discoveries are made, how these bodies are arranged, these tableaus that have been set up. I mean, they just become more and more artistic as it goes. And this is, I mean, gruesome, yes, but very artistic.
Absolutely.
Gold star for you, Hannibal.
Oh yeah, I mean in the episode 6, the assemblyman, I think, who's made into a tree. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it also looks like something in like a Nirvana video at the same time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. This prompted a question for me, and that is, how many glass plate people do you have on speed dial?
He does all of that stuff himself.
But how does he blow his own fucking glass? Like, I
Sure
understand.
maybe
he's a real Renaissance man. I mean, come on.
But this is like the tree thing is like, I can understand like he's a horticulturist in a certain way, or he's been planning this kind of thing for a while. But like he didn't plan to find cats in his basement. So he kills her and freezes her. But then he's like, well, I got to call my glass guy because I got to get 10 thick panes of glass that I can then screw together so that they look like microscope slides, because I'm going to sandwich her there and then put her in the observatory where Chilton had his guts taken out.
He's also seemed to have developed the ability to bend time.
Yes.
Because he does a lot of things in a period of time that it would seem to not be feasible.
Right.
For him to do these things in that period of time. I'm kind of pushing more ahead to episode 6. But there's a point where he leaves his house for presumably a few hours, but manages to kill a couple people and kidnap somebody and hide him in his house somewhere.
And not to mention staging an elaborate,
right, stringing up another body to mimic the body of the person he just kidnapped.
Those are some strong fly hooks. I'll just say that.
They sure are. Wow, he needs to manufacture those.
I mean, what is the tensile strength of these fish hooks?
They must be made of
holding up an entire body.
Yeah. Steel beams.
Again, and we said this before, we don't come to Hannibal for realism. That's not why.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that we're just in another plane of existence now. It looks like Earth, but it isn't entirely Earth.
They slipped into the time stream and they're in a different place where time moves at a different frequency.
Where nobody just walks up and shoots someone in the head. They all have these outrageous, elaborate contraptions where they all get to participate in the fallacy of the talking killer. Nobody just kills anybody here. It's all very drawn out, very dramatic.
Oh no, everyone's got a fucking monologue in this joint. It's just all brimming underneath the surface, waiting to go.
Even Cats, and she's dead.
Yeah. Boy, and she wasn't just like a featured player, man. She was in the opening credits up until this point. It's that. What is that conversation like? Like, we love what you do. We have really enjoyed having you on the show. I'm going to slice you into 5 pieces.
I think she knew, from what I remember in interviews, I believe that she knew early on, like in season 1, that her character was going to die at some point. So I know that, but I don't know that she knew the how of it. But sure. I've seen like pictures on Twitter of her like smooching her the dummy that they made of her.
Oh, I always wonder about that when you know
she
your
thought
character,
it was fun.
When your character in a movie gets like their head cut off or something like that, it's like you get to keep the head. I would want to keep the head.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I have trouble with pictures of me. Nevertheless, a 3D representation of my head that I can see from multiple angles that also is sliced in half.
Yeah, but when you look like Hatene Park, I mean, it wouldn't be tough to have an extra copy of that sitting around.
Sure. Well, look at that face.
I know.
I recalled that this was how she was dispatched. But it's another thing to see it again and to just go, this is all sorts of crazy. It is fucking bug nuts, this display. And it is such a direct insult by Hannibal to all of these people that he supposedly wanted their time and attention from. Like, it is the most pissed off I think we've ever seen Hannibal up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a giant middle finger.
He spends these 2 episodes just like sulking, especially the next one. But yeah, he's very like moody in these 2 episodes, where before he's been kind of looking into a dark glass. You don't see anything really. But here you see it, like he's actually invested now. This
is very much the what we've been building to through the beginning part of the season. Is that the establishment of Hannibal has feelings. It really begins to pay off here, because it's one thing to hunt him, or it's another thing for him to hunt you. Those are very clinical, but now we've mixed the professional with the personal, and things go very much awry, and Beverly is caught in the crosshairs here. And it's a slap in the face to absolutely everyone Hannibal has been working with. And it's a real tightrope here. Like, if Will was not in an institution right now, would Hannibal still be walking the streets?
I don't think so.
The only reason he has the freedom to get away with something this fucking crazy is that he knows he has enough leverage to keep everyone else's plates spinning. For example, Will obviously is occupied in a place where no one's really going to believe his story. Chilton is too busy trying to prove that he's better than Hannibal. Jack obviously is still reeling from his wife's attempted suicide, and of course her.
Did anyone ever need a vacation more than Jack Graham? Jack Crawford.
Someone get him to an all-inclusive.
God's sake.
Stat.
He's a hard ass, and it's really mostly his fault that Will broke the way he did. And yet, really, this season, you just end up feeling so sorry for him.
It's a real hat trick, and I don't know that many actors could do it as well as Fishburne does it.
It really requires all of the foreknowledge of him as an actor and as many years of watching him do what he does on screen. You're
just watching somebody realize how little control he has over anything.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to understand for anybody, really, but particularly for him.
And his constantly shifting allegiances over these 2 episodes is quite a journey for him to go from, listen, we all understand. I might not want Will Graham to be guilty of murder, but we've all seen the evidence, and Will Graham is guilty of murder. At the end of this, he's giving Hannibal the biggest fucking side eye, and he's like, God damn it, I got hornswoggled right underneath me, not once, but fucking twice. And he's pissed. And the only reason I think he doesn't plug Hannibal on sight is the ace up Hannibal's sleeve. And that is the reveal that Miriam Lass is alive in a well.
Ugh.
There's a lot of callbacks to, or call forwards, I guess, to
parallel track rhymes
to Silence of the Lambs, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
A lot of hat tips in these 2 episodes, yeah.
And to Red Dragon, because there's the whole idea, especially in 5, once Will learns that one of the orderlies who's taking care of him is the guy who killed the bailiff in the court. And it's who knows how long that he has been a ongoing serial killer. But the entire idea of the person behind those bars telling another person, go kill this guy, that's straight out of Red Dragon.
Right.
Yep.
And it gives the biggest reason in the world for Hannibal during Red Dragon to do the same thing to Will.
I mean, later in episode 6, Hannibal even mentions the census taker. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was a bit of a cringe.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
And I don't cringe very often on this show.
It's like, you had to do that, didn't you?
Every once in a while, there's a little Salt Bay that happens, and they make a direct reference that seems to cascade references on top of it. But it's just a wild confluence. Like, all of these things are sort of in a dance, and it is very rare. I'm really hard pressed to find a lot of parallels to someone doing a version of this that works as well as Hannibal does. And the only one that really leaps to mind is Watchmen, because Watchmen is doing a dance, only it's not a prequel, it's a sequel. And it's dancing around the same ideas in a completely different way. And Hannibal does the exact same thing with all of the books and the movie references.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, Brian Fuller had to get really creative just because there are so many things that he could and couldn't use because of rights. They very nearly, I don't know if you guys probably knew this, but they very nearly couldn't even use the name Hannibal Lecter. Oh my God. So Hannibal, okay, I'm so excited to tell you this.
Yeah, please bring it up.
So the name that Mikkelsen was going to be playing this character was Abel Gideon. So Hannibal's name was going to be Abel Gideon originally because they couldn't get the rights, but then at the last minute they got the rights. But Brian Fuller didn't want to throw away this Abel Gideon character, so that's how he came about.
So he definitely is not thrown away because Abel's all over the place here.
Yeah, there's not going to be any leftovers.
I mentioned a couple episodes ago that apparently Cynthia Nixon's character was supposed to be Paul Krendler. Yeah. And then their character's name ended up being an anagram of Paul Krendler.
Yeah. The show's chock full of anagrams and references like that.
And instead, Krendler got to be in Clarice. So,
what a step up!
I think we know. I think we know who won out in this competition.
I think you're referring to the Paramount Plus series Clarice. Now, Gina, it didn't get canceled; it got moved.
Oh, is that
Paramount
right?
Plus.
Okay. Well, good for that, I guess.
Because what that show needed was like swearing and nudity or something. I don't know what they're going to do to that show that's going to justify it continuing.
That's going to make it interesting?
Again, I've asked people, and there's plenty of people who listen to the show. So the idea, there's only like a couple people have reached out to me to sort of say, oh, well, like this episode was kind of good. But I don't hear any details of Clarice. It just exists in a vacuum. It went out into the world and just landed with a silent thud.
More of like a thwomp.
Yeah. To think that I shopped this idea around of us covering Clarice as a professional idea. Oh my God. Someone tell me not to have ideas, because that may have been my least successful so far. And I say that as a person who said, let's cover The Stand. And we got 2 episodes.
Well, look, we didn't know it was going to be as bad as it was.
I know. It had
I was going to say, it had such promise.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I saw that Harold Walter was a thin guy, I was like, nope. Hopes deflated.
Yeah, no.
Well, that sort of brings to bear the idea of how to translate material into a different format, right? Because The Stand had obviously been a book. They'd attempted for it to be a movie, including at one point trying to narrow it down to 2 hours, which I don't know what the fuck that would be. I don't know what The Stand would be in 2 hours. That is wild.
Trash. It would be trash.
It's like the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings that literally ends with, and then Frodo and Sam went to Mount Doom and tossed the ring into the fire. The end.
Nothing happened after that, really.
All's well
not a
that ends
thing.
well.
Yep.
They took a hike and they threw a ring in, and all's done.
Larry and the gang went to Las Vegas, and everything all worked out. Goodness prevailed.
Right.
And in here, you have what would be a very daunting task, one that we've discussed a bit, but at this point, you're creating so much of your own original lore that any sort of directional point that you would go, all right, eventually these people are in Red Dragon. Eventually these people are in Silence of the Lambs. Like, that gets harder and harder to do. And yet at this point, it is not unfathomable to have these people and these characters end up as the same people they end up as in those particular stories.
Yeah, I would think that with Red Dragon, and I'm more thinking of how he is portrayed in Manhunter. That's Will after going through a lot of therapy.
Yeah. It's not just him in the jail cell imagining antlers growing out of his back and head.
Yeah, I mean that is a Will who is stable enough to get married and have a kid and just kind of living his life and all.
Fixing boats.
You have to admit that his mind palace has pretty much been corrupted at this point. Like, he's seeing blood coming out of sinks. He's having real issues, and toys around with him literally changing places with Hannibal Lecter, not just physically in that he is behind bars, but mentally from manipulating people to kill someone he doesn't care for or he considers to have been rude to him, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's so fascinating about this version of Will is that because he's a moral person, he has such a strong moral center. He can't let Hannibal just be out there in the world. And so it's Hannibal that he infects himself with Hannibal, basically. Like he does this because he is so, he's so moral, he's so black and white. And this is where Will really starts to get into a gray area, which will only spread from here.
To put a finer point on this, he contacts Freddie Lounds, who comes dressed like the fucking Joker.
You guys are so mean to my girl Freddie. I love her.
Tell us why before we get into the plot machinations. I'd love to hear the other side of Freddie Lounds.
I mean, Freddie and Bella are kind of two halves of the same character. They're the only two like no bullshit characters in this entire show. Like they're not really hiding anything. They're going to do what they're going to do and fuck everyone else. And I don't know. I just love that about them. I mean, yes, she is absolutely sleazy and awful, but she knows she is. She owns it. So I don't know. I respect her.
I just don't know what her exact motives are. I know what her goals are in terms of her business, quote unquote. I don't know how murderdeathkill.com or whatever the fuck she's running. The Tatler.
Excuse you, murderstab.org. Thank you.
Sorry, murderstab.org. I know what her like that she wants this material for her website and everything. I just don't know what her huge goals are as a character. That is the one onion I can't quite peel. And it's not to say that it won't happen. It's just to say, in revisiting this, I found her to be the one element that you kind of do need someone to be the outside squeaky wheel. And she's absolutely that. But the other outside squeaky wheels like Chilton, I completely understand his motivations, and hers remain a mystery to me.
I will say that, it was nice that they gave her a small shred of humanity by her trying to tell Jack not to go into where Beverly was so that he didn't have to see her. I thought that was a nice bit of dimension to a character that otherwise is written to be pretty loathsome.
She is. She's loathsome, and I know that, but I still love her.
Well, I mean, we're talking about characters, one of which I have great affection for, who eats people. And then at one point at the end of episode 6, invites a guy over to have his own leg and manages to get a compliment out of that person. The fuck, everyone.
You're watching NBC.
Yeah, but seriously, have either of you ever had bone marrow?
Yeah,
sure.
It's so fucking good.
I mean, it's delicious.
I tried it just kind of on a whim in a restaurant, and it's one of those moments where I ate something, I'm like, oh my God. Like almost wept. I was like, this is one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life. And I had no idea. I couldn't, I wouldn't know for certain if it was, from a cow or not. It could have been a person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see it being prepared.
Have you checked your back for horns?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh my God.
But you know what? Honestly, growing antlers, that would be pretty handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Storage is at a premium in a New York City apartment, so I could use the thing to hang some towels on.
Well, I mean, but what's your ceiling situation like? Because
I'm pretty short, so I could probably get some nice clearance going on with those horns.
You just don't want it to be too wide because you still have doorways to deal with.
Well, and honestly, it would make going on the subway so much easier. I mean, no one is trying to get up close to me with those things.
No. You're getting your own place in a subway car.
I'm getting my very own car.
And so, if you had on your wish list, I need to see Hannibal at a Speedo. Well, congrats, everyone. You're going to get to see him.
Yeah, you get a lot of Hannibal torso in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an extravaganza of half-naked murderers.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean,
it really is.
Props. Thank you, Brian Fuller. Thank you for that. I mean, they're both fit.
Knows his audience.
Yeah. It's thirsty middle-aged women like me.
Mm-hmm.
So the actor who's playing this orderly, I know I've seen him before, but I don't know from where.
So if you've seen anyone being a murderer on a television show, it's probably Jonathan Tucker.
He's played other killers in such programs.
Right. Justified was, I think, one of the more recent ones before this.
That's where I've seen him. Justified. Holy shit.
Yeah, that last season.
Right. He's the rival quick shooter.
Yeah.
What is that? What is the guy who shoots faced? What the fuck?
Timothy
I have finger guns going right now. I'm the only one in the room. You can't see me.
A sharpshooter?
A sharpshooter? Sure.
Quick Draw McGraw?
Quick, yes. I think that's the technical term. Quick Draw McGraw. He's a Quick Draw McGraw. And here he toys around with a slight lisp and then decides, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. I actually really like this actor a lot. I think that he brings this sort of weird energy, like this weird, like gleeful energy in everything he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He's always a monster, but yeah.
He treats this whole situation like my time has come.
Yeah.
Finally, I get to be myself. Yeah, it is a wild set of circumstances that put him in place where he was the one who killed the bailiff. So we now know what happened there. He also complains that it is really hard to get a dead body onto antlers. So I agree. Finally, someone complains about the level of artistry that you have to achieve to be a killer on this fucking show.
and the sheer upper body strength it requires.
I mean,
seriously.
you saw those arms, though.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, he's very fit.
He's very long and lithe, and he's got those gutters that go down from like underneath your rib cage down to your hip joint.
Yep, we
how
know
many times
those.
have I mentioned that on this podcast? Gina? I think we've got a real "this better not awaken anything inside of me" moment happening. But it turns out that Will, as Bo, rightfully denotes, he can't stand the very idea that Hannibal's just walking around having free reign out there. And all of his machinations that we're going to try to get him out probably aren't going to come true. So what does he have to lose? If you have access to a guy who will murder for you, well, send him in Hannibal Lecter's direction. He fucking killed Beverly. Why don't you get a taste of your own goddamn medicine? And instead of just doing it, this Dorcas Malorcas decides to go, oh, I'm going to kill you with this like Saw. It feels very Saw to me. Like he's not refined, this guy.
No.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, is Dr. Chilton checking references when he's hiring people? Because we also find out that not that Gideon, doesn't deeply have it coming, but two other guards, beat him so badly that his back is broken.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who you hiring there, Chilton? Because it's not Baltimore's best and brightest.
No. And listen, Will tells, he tells Gideon, I brought you here in order to force the truth about Hannibal to come to light. And you decided you wanted to play fucking games. Well, play stupid games, get stupid prizes, idiot. Like you are on the clock, you fuck nut. Let's work together. And he's like, no thanks. I'm fully in control of my capacities. And he ends up eating his own goddamn leg. So welcome. Mm-hmm. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that leg that's yours. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Which to me that feels a little bit like a call forward to the only scene that makes the movie Hannibal worth watching.
Yes.
And that is when Ray Liotta has his own brain fed to him. Which again is an absolutely absurd moment.
Oh yeah.
That he is still alive to be able to be eating, still being pissy and salty at Clarice, which cracks me up, and oh, that smells good.
That smells good is so perfect. It is the best moment in that awful movie.
I almost want to watch it again because
you don't. No, you don't.
Well, there's a lot of the weirder shit about it. Happens in season 3. I'll just leave it at that for now. But it's just such a oh god, that movie, just so many decisions.
Yeah, I mean, they should have named it old man prank calls FBI agent.
still trying to find a way out of this.
Mm.
I feel like he knows he's out of his league every time he meets Hannibal. And yet he thinks, this is the time I'm going to talk him out of something crazy. He's like, oh, no. You're eating your own leg now, dude. You are out of your fucking league. And it makes Hannibal, who we've always known is dangerous, all the more dangerous. Like, they keep finding ways to make him not a Superman, but very good at sort of juggling plates, because at a certain point here, it feels like things are getting out of control. And yet Hannibal has found ways not only out of these situations, but allow them to insulate himself against accusation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Will, really, the whole thing backfired so much for him, because not only was he not successful, he didn't kill Hannibal, but he kind of turned, like, I feel like Jack and Alana probably would have come around to his way of thinking a lot easier had he not done that. I mean, Alana's just against him now. Just nope. No.
So this
she's
brings,
done. Yeah.
So this brings to bear, now we've seen Alana to this point in the series be attracted to Will, and why not? Just look at him. And now attracted to Hannibal, and why not? Just look at him. But also, what's the deal with Dr. Alana Bloom?
Yeah, this is the only bit that I have pause with, is her just suddenly switching allegiances, and it's like, well, I guess it's just you and me. It's just like,
I've known you a lot longer than the rest of these swinging dicks, so why don't you use yours on me?
Yeah, it's just, I realize that grief and unusual situations sometimes push people together, but this doesn't feel organic to me.
No,
because she, up to this point, she seems to have, very carefully delineated that this is someone she thinks of as a mentor, and maybe even a little bit of a father figure. And then within the course of an episode or two, she's like, say.
Well, but, I mean, I've read enough romances that start.
Well, fair, and I realize that this is hardly the only television series in which characters do a 180 between from not having any sort of sexual chemistry to falling into bed with each other the next episode. It also doesn't help that Hannibal kind of has a weird sexual chemistry with everyone, whether like intentionally or not, but there's always some kind of undercurrent there. It doesn't feel right for her as a character.
Can I ask you guys something? Sure. How different do you think things would have been if Hannibal had just had gotten a kink instead of wanting to be a cannibal? Like, he's like, oh yeah, it's about control and whatever.
If
it's like,
just
dude,
become a gray, what are those 50 Shades grays?
Right.
And he's just got a fun room that he makes people sign a contract with.
Just get a kink. Yeah.
Sure.
Eating people is not a good kink.
He doesn't strike me as a particularly sexual person.
No.
Like he has that chemistry, but I feel like he would think, the actual physical act of sex is a little disgusting.
I mean, it's possible he does.
Well, that's true. I mean, he may have been going through the motions because that's what she wanted, and he's trying to keep someone on his side.
If he had just shown up in an Agora sweater and said, this is who I am, maybe that would have been the better way to go.
Would have saved some lives.
Sure. I mean, he's obviously talented. He's talented as fuck. Of course he knows how to play the fucking harpsichord. The harpsichord.
Like he's like fucking Count Dracula or something, I swear.
Well, not only does he play harpsichord, he plays the theremin. Because Alana says harpsichord or theremin. As
if those are the only two choices they could possibly be. And it's so weird that you said that he's Dracula, Gina, because I have written when he goes to kidnap Abel out of a criminally insane mental institution.
Just sneaking in again, like he did with poor what's her face, the one in the tube.
Oh, right. Miriam, yeah.
But at least people are wandering in and out of a goddamn hospital. This is basically a prison, and he just saunters in like he's fucking Dracula. I go, is Hannibal Dracula now? Because that's how they present it, that he vaporizes into the room. Like the only thing missing is the flapping noises of a bat.
or just like, they keep saying he's like, he actually Will says at one point to Abel Gideon, he's smoke. And that, again, that feels very evocative of Count Dracula and how he would appear like a cloud of fog sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know Max Mikkelsen said that when he was preparing for this show, when he was preparing to take the role of Hannibal, like he didn't study serial killers or psychiatrists. He said, I read about the devil, like, because this man is the devil. So I wanted to play him as if he was the devil.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because I don't think there's been any real serial killer that's been quite like Hannibal Lecter. I mean, there's definitely been cannibal killers, but not any that were, intellectuals or doctors or anything like that.
Yes. Well, the entire idea that you can be this flippant about life and still like, I'm going to do some kitchen tricks when I make eggs. Like that person doesn't fucking exist.
Right.
You're at the point where you're killing multiple people, like keeping a head in a refrigerator. We've seen that guy and he was not fun to be around. People did not enjoy his presence.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe how well he smells. Like he smelled terrible and he didn't smell well in an olfactory sense. Like he might as well be Dracula. He might as well be the devil because it's so incredibly operatic and fictitious. Then again, all the emotions are real.
Right. Yep.
And then, of course, at the very end, this whole play to sort of turn the tide by Will, in a sense, has worked to some degree. He has pulled Jack over to his side, but also he has pushed Alana Bloom away from him. Mm-hmm. But now we have a new player in the field, or at least buried underneath it, and that is Miriam Lass, who's coming. And I cannot fucking wait for more Miriam Lass because we are literally at the turning point of the season.
Yeah.
We're at the halfway point where things are going to start to flip. And holy shit, do things flip with Miriam Lass.
Mm-hmm.
We also, we forgot to mention that initially Will is trying to press Abel Gideon into backing him up that Hannibal Lecter is the Chesapeake Ripper. And then instead, Gideon ends up blaming it again on Dr. Chilton, who for once, Chilton innocent. He has not actually influenced anything Gideon has said. I won't say that I feel sorry for Chilton because I don't, because he is also loathsome. But his look of bewilderment and shock and surprise is almost sympathetic.
Almost.
No, this is a real, this is me sowing. Hell yeah. This is me reaping. What the fuck is this?
Exactly. What this sucks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with like Abel and Chilton is like they thought they could stay a step ahead. It's like you are not even on the same field.
Right. That's the problem. Everybody in this show thinks that they're smarter than everybody else, and I think I said that before. But woe to the person who thinks that they're always they're always one up on everybody else. Mm-hmm. But I love when Chilton and Crawford are making small talk at Hannibal's party, and Chilton's like, I have to make it look like I'm not on to him, and like he's like practically like sweating bullets and like looking around, like his eyes are like darting around suspiciously. It's like, yeah,
Chilton has zero chill, man.
Yeah, you're doing great, Chilton. We'll never know.
I mean, that's what I love about this show, is that it's got so much humor for such a bloody show. I don't know. And Raul Esparza is so perfect. Like, his facial expressions, I could just watch him like go from emotion to emotion all day.
Just prancing about.
Oh, he's so
as
good.
If his the bottom of his shoes do not touch the ground, and like everyone around is like, "Would you stop fucking clomping? I can hear you from the next room." Oh my god!
Oh,
so
can I mention one thing?
Of course, that's what you're here to do, is mention things.
I just wanted to mention: did anyone catch Zeller's joke about the tree man?
What was it?
Varicose vines.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, I just thought it was funny.
He looks so proud of himself, too.
And nobody reacts.
I was a little pissed that because obviously I've seen the show before, but I haven't in a while, and I had written down, they gutted a dude and placed him in a parking lot, thinking, I could sing this, and then they make the actual fucking reference. Again, I thought I was smarter than Hannibal.
You flew too close to the sun, son.
I'd be on a fucking dinner plate in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, what I was thinking about when they were describing how the tree man was killed, and so another one was like, how long did this take? Because they're like, he pushed the vines through the bottom of his feet and up through the. I'm like, what? How would you even do that? How long would that take?
It's the magical folding of time that is Hannibal.
Yeah,
he could just whip this shit up.
And where is he doing it? Did he put this tree in the back of a pickup truck?
I mean, he obviously
apparently in the warehouse that Miriam Lass is in.
Yeah, he obviously has a lot of body warehouse places.
He's just got all these like dead body sheds.
Yeah. Thank you.
If
Dead
you're
body
be
sheds.
This prolific, you have to be a Boy Scout, man. You got to be prepared.
Yeah.
He's got to have those giant glass slides ready to go. Like, that isn't something you can just go, I have an idea, I need 6 months. He's like, no, fuck it, we got to do this now.
Do you think
there are days where I can't even find a damn pen in my house.
Yeah, for real. I was going to say, do you think they were excited to finally be able to get some boob on NBC?
Even if it has to be bisected.
Yeah. It's just how every week I felt like I was just saying, how did they get away with this?
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't care, because they didn't produce it themselves. They just licensed it. Like, someone else was taking all the risk. And then they're like, it's Fridays at 10. No one's watching this. They did not care. And I heard this from people at NBC, because when we were working on, I can't remember, there's some show that it was a detective who was solving folk tales, who were creature folk tale. Oh, fucking Grimm. Jesus Christ. So we were working on the launch of Grimm, and I'm like, do you want it to lead into Hannibal? Because that's a great show. And they're like, no, we don't mention Hannibal around here. Oh, shit. You don't mention the only show on your network currently that gets good reviews? That seems like a bad concept.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't work for NBC very often.
Yeah, it just floors me that it was even on NBC. I mean, this is so grotesque and beautiful and strange. And, it's so much for a network TV show. It's just so much.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful meal. And of course, every meal needs to have dessert. And that, of course, for us, is choose your own death venture. That's where we decide of the deaths in this particular episode, which one would you choose and why? And up for bid, we have be sliced in 5 different ways and be put on display. Just get shot in a pool or have a tree grow through your body. Other people do die here, but we don't really see how. We just know that they die and maybe become hors d'oeuvres or maybe not. We don't know. But we know we have 3 confirmed deaths here. So, Bo, you're our guest. You get to go first.
Well, I think I'm shy, so I don't think I would like the slides. But the tree might be cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be up to your thighs in water for 3 days.
I don't love it. I'm not okay with any of it, really. But I mean, I'd like to at least be, something beautiful after I'm dead.
Sure, that is true. The end result is the beauty of in pain,
right?
As it were. Gina, what say you?
I'm gonna take the tree death too. I do think it's oddly beautiful.
Yeah.
And honestly, if he's gonna swap out my shitty kidneys for some flowers, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he ain't getting any good eating out of them, so he might as well do something worthwhile with them.
I'm getting shot in that pool because I want to look that good in a Speedo.
I was gonna say you're gonna walk around those little undies.
Yeah. If I looked like that, Gina, if I looked like that, it's how I'd walk the goddamn
But
dog.
you're gonna have to have some weird he's got tribal tattoos on his on his abs, Patrick. Tribal tattoos.
But I was alive in the 90s. People make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah, I actually have a tribal tattoo on my back because I was, a teenager in the 90s. So
all right, fair.
That just about does it. Bo, where can people hear more and read more from you?
Oh, well, you can find me over at The Spool along with Gina. I also have a podcast, as you mentioned. It's called Let's Get Weirding. We're reading Frank Herbert's Dune series chapter by chapter, and we're about over halfway through with Children of Dune. So God Emperor is coming up next, and it should be fun. But that's at Weirding Pod on Twitter, Instagram, all the places.
Excellent. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
As Bo mentioned, I write for The Spool, and I do television and movie reviews there. Some of my upcoming stuff by the time this goes live will be The Conjuring 3, an anniversary retrospective on The Cable Guy, and the very hotly anticipated Werewolves Within, which I am very excited about. And I am on Twitter under Porcelain72.
Do it today. People, check it out. You're mean to tell me that you guys had chicken and you couldn't use utensils, but you had Pepsi? That's the only thing I remember from The Cable Guy. We're on Twitter. We're all the place. Please rate and review us on iTunes or anywhere you get your podcasts. That helps us be seen and heard by more people. That's about it. Next week will be more Kill by Kill. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue for myself and Gina and Bo. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.